I got a hot take as a performance marketer here, Dave. You know what it is? It's the brand creative team they're missing the forest for the trees. They get so deep into, this color blue sort of gets across this message, and then we need this and that. And it's just like, look, the contrast isn't high enough. Hey, what's up, everybody? And welcome to Growth Mentors, the podcast where we share snackable growth hacks, strategies, and best practices in how to drive maximum marketing impact and grow your bottom line. I'm your host, Matt LeBlanc, and today we are going over part 2 of CRO common mistakes. That is, common mistakes that we find with conversion rate optimization. So here to help us do this is Dave Armstrong, the Director of Paid Marketing at Jump 450. What's happening, Dave?
What's up, Matt? I'm ready to go again for part 2.
Yes, we're keeping these snackable, digestible for you. We dug around internally and found a bunch of common mistakes that we find people running into with conversion rate optimization. And so we're just breaking these up to super actionable points for you to go after to improve your CRO. And just to sort of reiterate, the reason that CRO is really so important is because it directly affects your bottom line. It improves your customer experience, and it really leads to valuable insights that drive overall business growth. Dave, take us into number 1 here. Unique selling points not prominent on a landing page, or even perhaps featured all the way at the footer.
Yeah, so one of the common mistakes that we see is with USPs, or unique selling propositions, not being prominent enough. There are some instances where we've seen these USPs get stuck, like Matt just alluded to, all the way down at the footer where only like 10% of people even reach. So we consistently see brands putting a lot of their USPs either not prominent enough or, again, all the way down in the footer. And that usually includes things like free shipping or any guarantees that they might have, like money back guarantees, secure checkout, different things of this nature. Again, these are unique selling propositions. Or prompts, and these need to be, again, prominent into your user's mindset when they're about to make a sale. So if you don't have them near the product or as they're about to click add to cart, they're not doing anything there. If somebody's about to buy a product, they're not going to be like, oh, wait, I wonder if they offer this, and like scroll all the way down looking on your page for this particular thing. It should be front and center when they're about to make that purchase.
Right. And Dave, just to dig in a little bit here, I needed this clarification, so maybe there are others that do. A unique selling proposition, how is that different from a unique value proposition, a UVP?
Yeah, I'm sure people use these interchangeably, but the way I've always viewed it is in 2 different categories. Unique selling propositions are actual propositions that are going to sell your product. Sorry, I hate using the same word in the definition of the thing, but they're going to influence a sale. Whereas a unique value prop is what value adds set your product apart from potentially your competitors or other types of products in the same vertical or industry as you. So I view selling props as quick kind of tidbits that are going to help sell and convert your product, like those things I just mentioned, free returns after 30 days, or free shipping, or trusted checkout badges, and those things of those types of that type of nature, and value propositions, which we'll actually get into here in a second too, would be something that sets your product apart from your competitors. So say I'm selling flannel shirts. My unique value prop is that I'm using merino wool, and it has this warmth factor and this breathability factor.
Right.
And none of my other competitors are using it, or they're selling it as cheaply as I am, or that value add that I provide people, that, in my opinion, would be a unique value prop. But again, I'm sure people use these interchangeably, and I'm sure it's not that big of a deal, but I just like to keep those things separate.
No, Dave, it's a big deal. And I'm glad you're keeping them separate, because that was a really clear definition. I understand it better. Let's rush right forward. Number 2, irrelevant or misleading hero image.
Yep. Hero images are a massive, massive piece of your visual hierarchy on your site and on your funnel. And a lot of times people just don't understand how important they actually are. Usually, and I know we talked about announcement bars, things at the top of your page. Depending on your color scheme and things like this, maybe you'll look at something else first. But for the vast majority of people, your hero shot, your hero product,
Yeah.
your hero image on your website is the first thing that people are going to see. And if it's irrelevant or misleading, you're going to lose a lot of people. I just mentioned the flannel example a second ago. If I'm just showing a sheep, maybe that has a connection to the merino wool that I use in my flannels,
Right.
but not everybody's going to understand that. And instead of showcasing my best colorway of my highest grossing product or my highest grossing flannel, showing a sheep might be a little bit misleading for people. So using a very straightforward hero image that ties together your brand, selling what you're selling, trying to do a great job of leading people to that conversion path that you're hopefully leading them down. Another way to look at this too, because we just talked about unique selling propositions, is value propositions. One mistake that this is kind of like a number or like subset A and subset B. So subset B of a misleading hero image is not including a value proposition. One mistake we see people make is that your brand name isn't your value prop. I don't know how many people need to hear that, but just show, I mean, maybe it's a value prop if it's Rolls Royce. Maybe it's a value prop if you're Versace or insert luxury brand here where you're buying the brand name and that's the value prop.
Yeah.
But for the vast majority of us and our brands, our brand names are not the value proposition. So making sure your hero image and your value prop are front and center, and they're, again, you split test this constantly. You can test whatever you want here to try and increase the click-through rate on that, hopefully, Shop Now button that's above the fold on your hero image, and seeing how many more people click that versus your other tests, and ultimately how many more people convert through those specific tests that you're running.
Yeah, and this is really kind of the same psychology that we see behind a lot of ad creative, YouTube, the psychology behind, choosing the right thumbnail. It's not just choosing the right image, but it's choosing the right image that works with the messaging that you're using as well. So that makes a lot of sense to me. Number 3 here, if you're having an issue with this, then maybe you really need to just rethink everything. But it's the font being too small or unreadable on your landing page.
Yeah, I cannot stand websites that this happens on your hero image a lot, actually, Matt, where part of the hero image is the same color as the caption or the text that you're trying to get people to read. And it's such an easy thing to fix with different overlays or underlays like gradients, moving the text slightly or increasing the font size. And it's very simple, but I'm surprised how often I see it. Your product needs to be extremely strong to get over an issue that's so simple, so easy to fix.
Yep.
But a lot of people, I don't know the reasons as to this. It might be they're lazy. It might be just because they haven't done their due diligence and they haven't really checked their website. They haven't checked it on different browsers.
I got a hot take. As a performance marketer here, Dave, you know what it is? It's the brand creative team getting, they're missing the forest for the trees. They get so deep into, this color blue sort of gets across this message, and then we need this and that. And it's just like, look, the contrast isn't high enough. The size isn't big enough. You're getting so into the composition or whatever your philosophy is behind it that I just, give me some Helvetica, give me some black and white. I know that's overly simplified, but that's my tough love for today is give me some high contrast. Give me some some hierarchy in this text that I'm looking at. Show me where I'm supposed to be looking and what I'm supposed to be reading.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it. I think a lot of these things, which maybe we'll even sum up towards the end here in part 3 or part 4, part 5, however long we go with this. But the visual hierarchy is such a key component to everything that we've talked about, specifically to your font and the readability of your font. It goes hand in hand with that too. And like people not understanding where their eyes are supposed to look in any given time, which happens to me a lot on podcasts too. I'm kind of looking over here and spacing out a little bit, but just on your website. You need to put yourself, this is another great lesson for everybody, hopefully, but you need to put yourself in the shoes or in the eyes of your user. Figure out you're seeing, just try and pretend that you're seeing your website for the first time. Where does your eye go first? Does your message resonate within the first couple seconds of you reading it? Does the composition of your hero image and the value prop that you're trying to run or trying to get across, does that resonate in the first few seconds? And if it doesn't, change it. That's the best part about all these websites and having a developer or having a templated website like Shopify is. You could change these things really quickly, and you can instantly get data once you split test these particular changes to figure out if you're moving in the right direction or not.
And just following this path down of intuitive choices to make, number 4 is going to be massive paragraphs of text. This is like pretty self-explanatory too. It's like, what now you're making me read? Just show me where to click.
I'll be honest with this one. I know this one is super important, but I probably commit this mistake more often than I would like to admit, especially being on a podcast talking about CRO mistakes.
Yeah.
Just trying to get all of the information you possibly can and to talk about your product or to talk about your service.
Yeah.
And all of the great things about it. And you don't exactly know which one's the best. So you just want to include everything. And pretty soon you've got entire essay that not even your 11th grade English teacher is going to read because it's way too long and it doesn't really get to the point. So including massive paragraphs of text, you're not, I think we talked about New York Times on the last episode, but you're not New York Times. You're selling a product, you're selling a service. Get to the point. There's a whole education about, and there's a whole batch of research about speaking at particular grade levels based on your target market.
Yep.
Usually, as sad as it kind of sounds, it's like a 5th to 7th grade reading level on average. So if you remember back when you were in 5th to 7th grade, were you reading massive paragraphs of text or just 5 to 7 words on a headline, a couple bullet points to describe your product? I guarantee you that if you start to run these types of tests, if you have massive paragraphs of text on your particular product or your particular funnel, just try and test a slimmed down version of that. I use an app or a website called Hemingway.
You know what's so perfect about you saying that the website is called Hemingway is that I was going to say that I think it was Hemingway who said this, talking about being concise in your messaging or in your writing, I guess. But I think it was Hemingway that said, I would have written a shorter letter if I had more time.
I love it.
It's editing yourself.
The website is hemingwayapp.com. So you can put your entire paragraph of text in there. It'll help you slim it down and just get to the key points. You should be able to do this on your own anyway. The more you practice it, the easier it is. Speaking of 11th grade English teachers, my 11th grade English teacher always told me to write more like Hemingway and less like Hawthorne. It's like a scarlet letter versus The Sun Also Rises kind of comparison there. And I still have this issue. So it's not something that I find easy. I make these mistakes all the time, which is why we're going through these and trying to teach these to other people. But overall, this is a big one that we usually see our clients make.
Dave, I'm actually going to pull you back right now and stop you from being too long-winded in this response.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say.
Just moving us along to number 5 here, really important one. Email capture is not incentivizing.
Yeah, email captures are, I wouldn't say they're underutilized, but I'd say they are not being utilized all the time as well as they can be. I know, again, we're talking about being a little bit more concise. That's the best way I can describe it. But the best way to kind of sum this up is, depending on how you're getting people to your site, obviously, you could have a massive organic presence. You could have an incredible email engine that is getting people to your site for substantially cheaper than, say, your $30 CPCs on LinkedIn. But overall, traffic isn't free. So if you're getting people to your website, maybe they're not ready to purchase yet. If you can get them to give you their email and put them into your entire CRM or email sequences, that's great. But people need to have a reason to give you their email, right? They need to have a reason to give you their information. If you can promise them something of value in return, whether that be a lead magnet or a discount code for the next time that they visit your website, or maybe incentivize them through free gifts on your actual email sequences. All of those incentives are great reasons to get more email addresses. And this is something, again, that I think is underutilized. Usually you'll see this like all the way at the bottom of people's websites, and there's no reason for me to give you the email unless I've seen something that I just really love, and maybe I just don't have the money to purchase your product right now, but I will come Black Friday, Cyber Monday. So maybe I have it in my head that I'll give you my email, but for most people, they need to be incentivized. And a lot of times that incentivization doesn't need to be that crazy. It could be promos that you're running year round anyway. Sure. So they might not see in your announcement bar that new customers get 10% off, but we might get to your email capture in the bottom of your page and say, hey, sign up for the email, get 10% off. So incentivizing email captures is another mistake that we see people making, or not incentivizing email captures is the mistake that we see people making.
Thank you for that, Dave. We got it. Just to wrap us up here, this was 5 common mistakes that we see with CRO. This is unique selling propositions are not prominently featured, irrelevant or misleading hero image, your font is too small, or your site is not easily readable. You've got massive paragraphs of text, or your email capture is not incentivizing. That was your next 5 common mistakes. If you are interested in hearing more, you should check out our video coming next week. We have got our final 5 common mistakes that we see with conversion rate optimization. And if you are listening and you are interested in exploding your own digital growth, you can get in touch with Jump 450 in the link below in the description. That is www.jump450.com. And don't forget to subscribe for more weekly episodes. We'll see you next time.